Hi, everybody. I'm Barry Kostrinsky. Welcome. These are Artist Talks. Tonight, we do not have a specific speaker. Instead, we'll focus on drawing the model, Maux Kelley, who's on 3 different screens. And at the same time, I'll encourage everyone to sort of share what's on their mind, whether it's recent work that you're doing, whether it's recent shows or exhibitions you saw, or anything aesthetic that you'd like to discuss. We'll keep it casual and free. The last talk is on the YouTube now. You can access it through the website, just with my name usually. And so welcome everybody. Thanks, Mo. As always, if you want to reach out to Mo or to me to contribute to her, I can help you with that. And obviously so can Mo. So welcome everybody. I do want to start with Wendy. So Wendy, we've never met, but I see your work through social media. And so that's how I know your work. And I've also, sometimes you got to know an artist 10 years to see work evolve. I would say I know you 2 years, maybe 3 at most, and I've seen your work evolve.
It'll be 3 in July.
It'll be 3 in July. And that's interesting. And also, I once said to you about the outline of a piece that you did, and you corrected me. And you were so right. You expressed how it's an outline, but it's really a contour that gets thicker and thinner, and it's in space. So it's not a flat contour outline. And it's, that made me think a lot. I think you understand, your form, and you're working now. You work off organic, almost geometric, because organic and geometric sort of go hand in hand. And you're getting movement, you're staying abstract, you have imagery in mind when you're working. If you'd like to share, I'm going to take a look at images you sent me. But anything you'd like to discuss about your recent clay work in the last 3 months or so?
Okay, well, there's a couple of different things. There's what I just sent to you, so I have been inspired by Mo and I haven't done this much figure drawing for many years. And I started to really incorporate the gestural. I think what you're trying to say is when I draw with line, I am drawing the energy and movement, not the outer edge. So I've been using those drawings to inspire some sculptural pieces. So I did a little series of, I'm calling them sculptural vessels. And I have a shop in Philadelphia, in Old City, Philadelphia, that represents my work. And I have to say, they've been very successful now. Like I've sold 3 pieces like right away. And now they're saying we want more figurative sculptural vessels. So thank you, Mo. But also Barry, you gave me the confidence, because when I showed that piece, you were like, that's next level, And so I'm like, okay. And apparently it is. So that was good. So thank you for that, because I'm going to do more of that. But in the meantime, the other thing, I don't know if you recall, but 2 years ago when I did that outdoor self-portrait, that was also a figurative sculptural vessel, but it was based on my own self. I don't know if you remember, it was like on a tree trunk and it was outside, and it had wire, and I was talking about the energy and
okay.
Anyway, it was the first time I did an outdoor installation piece, and it only had to be out for 2 months. And but during that 2-month time, a video was made of the artists and their work that was in that show. And what recently happened was a curator from a community college out this way was looking for an artist to create an outdoor piece for their sculpture walk. And so, okay, that's the figurative vessel. Oh, I guess, Barry, since you know how to do this, maybe you could pull up my Instagram, then we could talk about my outdoor piece. Yeah. Just saying, because I don't really know how to do that. We could share screen that way, and then I could talk about that. So anyway, this guy, the curator, just Googled like local outdoor sculpture art. And this video came up and he really loved my piece and the way I talked about it. And so he reached out to me to do an outdoor installation at his college. And that's what
Wow.
that's what those most recent posts are. So I just said to myself, well, so that's what that is. So if we click on the one where I'm working on it, yeah, that one. So what I decided to do is do a mixed media piece, because I just didn't feel like I could have enough physical presence if I just relied on clay. And so I designed a piece that incorporated steel, and I went to a scrap metal yard, and first I went to a scrap metal yard to see if I could find some things that I could incorporate. And I did find one thing that I incorporated, but ultimately I had to work with a steel fabricator to make the other pieces. So I don't know. Yeah. So let's see so that's the clay part of the piece. And then if you go, to the last post yeah, so those are some details. So I set it up at my house and it rained, and well, you'll see another, because it's a spiral, it rained on the top, and then the drips, it just dripped down and made this really great pattern. And then I waxed the clay part. So I thought it was really cool how the water was just beating up when it was raining.
Wendy, that's a very good photograph.
Isn't it cool? I want to do a painting of it. I'm like inspired by it.
I do a print. That's a very good
Oh
photograph.
yeah, print. I know. So then I was out and I came home one night and it was lit up by the house light. I'm like, whoa, that is cool when it's outdoor at night. So I'm so glad I got to live with it before I took it over to the college.
Well, you can see here how nicely your form works with the trees and nature. You can see it because you got the tree on the left and the right, sort of that this frames.
Yeah.
This-
See the piece that down like that the lid of that cylinder, that it's like a deco. It was some kind of a stand. That's what I found at the scrap metal yard that I incorporated. And the thing that I designed was the spiral, to hold the clay part, and then the cylinder underneath it. That's what my fabricator made.
I got you. That's a great base. I mean, it's obviously more than a base. It's sculpture, and it sort of holds the form and sets up sort of.
But I needed it heavy. I also was thinking, like it's got to be out there in the weather, and it got tested. I just installed it. I don't have my after shots yet. I mean, I have some, but some stone was being delivered to finish it off, and I'm giving an artist talk this next week, after this holiday week, next week, and then I'll take my finished shots. But I do have some it is there now. It's not here anymore. It is there now, but I just didn't post any finished.
Very exciting, Wendy.
Stuff yet.
Let's see what I have for you up here. Let's see.
Yeah, so it kind of was. Yeah, so since we're talking, that's one of the things I submitted to the clay bash. So I submitted that piece, and then maybe it's the next piece that's going to come up. No, that's my birthday.
Let's see.
My Valentine birthday. It's this one. Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen, Barry, but I felt good. I felt good about those pieces because they incorporate. Remember when I first met you 3 years ago, I wanted to incorporate the texture ripped edge with the smooth geometric, you know, hard edge, ripped edge like that. I've been striving to find my way to combine these things, and I feel excited about the way it came together on this piece and on that other piece. So that's why I submitted those two pieces.
And it shows, somehow it's showing time. You're getting time in these layerings and these soft tones. And that's a lot to get.
Yeah, it looks like worn, right? Like
Yes.
weathered and worn. Thank you, Barry. That was a goal. And
Yeah, but it's a
the
good
way I did
balance
it
of your-
was through, it's a pit fire. I pit fired it. So I treated the surface in a way that the smoke would adhere differently and not evenly. So
I was gonna say, you need the strong dark in there. I'm sure it would work without it, but I think it's just that much stronger when you can push those ranges.
and get a clean edge like that to contrast. Because see, the problem with pit firing is it can get like all too smoky or busy, or you lose your edges, let's say. Like that piece in the middle there is a pit fired piece that kind of a cool design happened. Not that one, that one's glazed. That like in the middle, see that one in the middle with branches in it? That one, I thought it was it kind of made a flame shape. So that's also a pit fired piece. Sometimes it adds to the surface and sometimes it takes away from the whole thing if it's too complicated of a form.
Well, that's one of the complicated things about ceramics. It's like you do a painting, at some point you're done. You do ceramics, you do your hand building, you feel like you're done, but you're not, because you haven't done coloration. And if you do the coloration so that it's too strong, it sort of covers up without covering up all the form you worked on. And if you do the coloration right, it can enhance. So it's like you've got to investigate inside the work. And when I do it, I'm always like, wait a minute, I did this already. And of course, it's now with color, it's different, but you got to go back into the movement and everything you're doing. And it's a challenge of ceramics to have it both the form right and then the coloration reflect meaning, process, whatever it is you want it to, and have your color palette.
Yeah, and also like the form, you feel a sense of control, but then the surface, if you deal with glaze or pit firing, you let go of control. You know what I mean?
Yes, well, you have to some extent.
But
because
and
it's
that's why,
environment.
back to that one, so look at the piece up in the corner there. So it's a beautiful situation, no glaze, didn't mess with my form, found a clay body I could just use, clean, white, pure, and see, they love it. They love the whiteness of it. So
Yes, and so you did no glaze, just the first firing, the bisque.
no. If you don't do glaze, then you have to go past the bisque because you just go full to whatever
Okay, to
the
your
temperature is.
gotcha.
Yeah, like that clay, if it was just bisque, it would be like pink or something,
Okay.
But then as you carry it through, then it gets
Vitrified. Once it's
vitrified, which sometimes it's white, sometimes it's gray. It depends on your clay.
Well,
Same with the piece that I just did for outside. It was pretty complicated form. And I thought, you know what? I am not messing with glaze and ruining this thing after all this work I did, because I knew that the steel was going to become very mottled through rust. And so I wanted the clay part to have a purity to it and not also be mottled and compete with what was going to happen with the surface of the steel. So I got a gray clay body and fired it so that it feels like stone or cement. And I did not deal with glaze at all. That's why I waxed the surface to kind of I mean, I fired it, so it was vitrified, but I waxed the surface just to, you know, so water would repel a bit
Right, and seal it.
and seal it since there's not glaze.
Well, one trick is, paint it white, release the form. I used to notice that I could take sneakers and paint it white, and all of a sudden they're not sneakers anymore, but it's pure form. And in automobiles, cars will show up weakest in straight white because there's nowhere to hide. So that's the idea of leaving it. It's sort of raw color, the clay's raw color, a light color like you had. That sort of does it so form will be dominant. Then again, a brown clay would have a beautiful effect too. Would just throw a brown tone all around.
Absolutely, that was my thinking.
So is the firing, is it raku? Is that the right term? Is that
No,
something
it's not
entirely
raku.
different?
No, it's not raku. Because raku, it's different. Raku, they use particular types of glazes that they take out when it's hot and then put it into like these combustible things. What this is, when you pit fire, you fire your piece so that it's not fully vitrified, so that it's still porous. And then you put it into, it's a sawdust firing, I guess is what they would call it. I fill up the, it's like bricks. I don't know if I have a picture on my Instagram. It can be a hole dug in the ground, but that's not what I do. Let me see. Let me see if I have it. I don't even know if I have a picture of my pit fire anywhere. I build it above ground with bricks, and then just put I put the pieces in and put sawdust in, and then light that on fire, and then it just smolders down.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Very nice negative space in this little piece here. I'm assuming it's little.
It is that piece, yeah, and that piece sold too, so that was good.
Very exciting.
Jill Gerwitz mentioned that's gorgeous, the some of the work that you've been showing. I think we're all sort of enjoying.
Thank you.
I will do is I'll stop my share.
Thanks, you guys. This was an unexpected viewing of my work.
Quick little round of applause.
Thanks.
Nice to see you, Jill. Thanks for coming in. Hope you're
Hi,
feeling
Jill.
better. Jill has COVID.
Oh, bummer.
Bummer.
Just when we think we're past it, right?
Everybody says it's over. I'm in Florida, so you can imagine it's not over.
It's not over.
And I don't want to catch it.
Yeah, I had it at the beginning of the month. It's not fun.
Mm-mm. So are we supposed to be doing anything? Like taking work first? What do we do now?
So I'd say draw, and anybody can bring up any conversation they like. Yes, I did not line up a model. There's always Michael Krasowitz here. I want to open up a can of Michael Krasowitz. So Michael, what's on your mind in the arts? What have you learned? Maybe tell us about the critique that you go to, that Lori Horowitz is involved with, or anything you like about your work, what's going on. Please go to Michael.
Hi, guys. Great work, Wendy. I've been playing with ceramics. It's really great to see what you're doing. Really cool.
Well, I just want to say, Michael, thank you for the inspiration, because I did apply to that show, the Clay Bash, but I'm not going to find out till tomorrow.
Oh.
It's been like 2 months. They make you wait to find out.
Oh.
So, but thank you, because you inspired it.
I always enter stuff, and then as soon as I enter, I try to just forget that I did.
Well, that was
I don't get
good.
disappointed.
Well, that's good, but well, no. I want to find out tomorrow.
So I do this thing called, we have this thing called the New York City Group Crit. And I'm the curator this month. And it's been a really interesting learning experience. it's never what it seems, and it's just I'm learning how to do like use their Instagram and to look for people that are interested in presenting, and then try to, now that we're supposed to have a theme. So that's what I've been dealing with. It's challenging to try to, you know, to keep that thing going and get people to come in. So like one of the ideas I had is that I go to this SVA graduate student thing. We were allowed to sign up and just show up and listen to their like curator. It's a curatorial program. So they have curators from all over the world. So I said, oh, I'll contact them and see if maybe the young curators that are in the program, in this MFA program, might show up, you know, to try to build interest. And that's what I was trying to do today. And there's just a lot of brick walls. There's a lot of like, how do you contact them? How do you instigate something like this? And so the idea is that, I'm sorry, I'm babbling, but to get this crit group going, I want to bring people in that are just not just presenters and presenters' families, which is what happens a lot. You know, you get the presenters, the people that are friends with the presenters, and then next month you're starting all over again. So I'm trying to figure out how to make it so that it becomes a thing that people will travel to because they want to interact with each other. So the utility is, how do I get curators or gallerists or somebody of interest to be part of it, whether they're in the audience or doing a presentation, so that more people will come and it'll synthesize into a kind of a happening. So it's a big challenge because, like I said, it's real. My experience with poetry, I do a lot of poetry readings and things, is that if the poets read, they show. You might have a great poet, but they don't necessarily come for the poet. They want to know that there's an open mic. So the strategy is, how do you create this, you know, event that people are more interested in coming to? So I'm on a steep learning curve trying to figure that aspect of things. But it's interesting because I think that ultimately artists are successful because they become part of a community. I don't think artists can just become successful as an individual. I think it's, you know, there's this synthesis that there are these artists, they're all talking about some ideas, they're all coming together. That idea becomes something that gets disseminated into culture. And because of that, the audience follows that interest. They follow this idea that there's something going on. You know? So tangential to that is the work I've been doing on TikTok. And, you know, I've been at it maybe a year posting on TikTok.
Do you want to share screen and pop up TikTok so we can see it?
I don't know if I can do that on my computer.
Okay.
Can I run TikTok through the computer? Like maybe I can show
I
you
don't-
on my phone. But so I've tried all different strategies to try to figure out how to create an audience with TikTok. So at the beginning, I did time lapse of me painting. I did that for a while. I did technical things about how to do, like I would show certain techniques and I would demonstrate, you know, color theory, whatever it is that I was working on. And what I came up with in the last 5 or 6 weeks is now there's a thing now where you can just show image. You don't have to show video. So what I do is I just show a single image with music. So that, you know, it's like what you do on Instagram. You see the single picture. It's not necessarily a reel. It's kind of the opposite of the reel. It's a place where people can come, and instead of like me talking, I'm terrible in front of the camera. It gives them, they just look at the image and they can spend 30 seconds or a minute looking at a picture. And it's really interesting. For whatever reason, that's what's working. Working in terms of, before I was maybe doing, I would get like 70 views of a video, maybe 2 likes or something like that. This is just stupid numbers. But now, for whatever reason, and it's not every painting, but I just put the painting on, I find it almost finds the music for me, and I put it on, and it lasts about minute, I've been getting about 1,000 views.
Wow, that's an increase in numbers there.
Yeah, it's like from 250 was a good day for me. That was a great day. And now I'm doing 1,000. And it's like, and it's this single image, you know, and then I try to interdisperse it with a video. It doesn't seem to be that much interest, but what I think is really interesting is that's what you want. You know, I mean, ultimately you want them to look at the image, and I just shut up, and I might do like a little thing, you know, on top, whatever is going on, but just show the picture. And that's it. That's what I've been doing. I mean, I'll try to show you one.
Let's see if I can punch up your Instagram.
TikTok.
It's a,
I know, I'm just, you got a bunch on your Facebook, Michael?
not so much on that, but so like,
Okay,
so this is. No, I didn't pick the music. I'm sorry, it's not very sharp, but that's a little sharp. So this is a painting. I've been, you know, I have a lot of material, so I can post often. But I post it like that, and this got like over 1,000 views.
just posting the image
Just
and the
posting the
sound overlay.
You know, I think it gives them a break. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, if you scroll and you're constantly going video, it gives them a break. They just sit and can look at a picture. They can look at the image. And you know, it's growing because I seem to be getting more and more like followers, and they you know, so I think it's interesting. I mean, to me, 1,000 people seeing my picture, that's a success.
Okay. Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
Yeah, it's and I, you know, like, and I was just having a conversation about the crit group and things like that, and I really do believe that the idea is that if we can just kind of put the whole career thing off to the side and just think about how the audience is interacting with the work, I think that this is the new graffiti wall. This is the new ability, and it's not that new, but I think that it gives us however we do it as artists, this is our audience. This is how we can communicate on a very high, not necessarily high level, but it whatever that means too. But I think it gives us the ability to find an audience.
Mhm.
And that's so.
No, you're right. An audience, you're correct. You're correct. It does get you an audience of people that you otherwise wouldn't get to. You'll get to some percentage of friends and those you know, but then through networks or networks you're not a part of, you will get linked. What does it do in the end for you? How much stress does it cause? Are you happy when you get 150? Are you sad when you get 500? You know, it gets, do you spend 10 minutes a day or an hour and a half a day?
Yeah, that's interesting. There was this one guy that was talking. He reviews movies, and he's very intelligent young guy. And the other day, and I always listen to his reviews because he always finds TV shows or movies I never heard of. And he was like having a crisis because nobody was watching his videos, and he was like, this is the only thing I have. And he was telling about all the stuff, all the crap that was going on in his life. And I was really sad. I was like, wow, man, I didn't realize that he was so invested in this thing. This was the thing that was working for him, and he was really relying on that audience. And you know, like, I don't do that, but I think there is a thing that's happening, you know, especially if the algorithm decides not to push your stuff. You know, it doesn't. I don't take it personally, man. It just might be that they, you know, there's 9,000 people reviewing movies, so you know, you might just be, tomorrow you'll be back, you know. But a lot of people do depend on that, Barry. It's true.
Yeah, that's sort of sad. I think, yeah.
Does TikTok, are you tagging it or doing anything to draw people to you like you do on Instagram? Or
I'm pretty lazy about that. Yeah, there is this thing with the hashtags, but I just
hashtags?
if I get it, you know, every morning I try to post something new, if I can, I'll do two a day, depending on how the numbers look. Which is,
I
I
see.
mean, that's a strategy. I was just talking to somebody. She said, you don't want to overdo it because then you can alienate. It's too much. You want the people to not be bombarded. But what I do is I mix it up. So I do cartoons. I do all different things. So one day morning I'll do a painting, and then in the afternoon I might do a cartoon. So like.
And you always do it with music?
Not necessarily.
No.
Yeah, pretty much. I think with music, the music trends, so people tend to go with the trends. So I do these like cartoon things.
Oh yeah,
So I'll post
that's
them.
intriguing. It's cool music too.
It's really cool, and the cool thing about it is I like the best is the music. I just put the picture on, and somehow it finds the music.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But otherwise I'm sitting here, I'm making paintings. They go in the garage. So this to me is exciting. It's
Right. Right.
I have the garage exhibition. Do you look to have people to your studio twice a year, Michael?
I'd be happy to have, I invite people, but I get so much of a stone wall in the art world. Just like, I don't know about you guys, but it's like I have one guy that's bought a couple paintings last year, but that's it. It's just,
It's hard.
it's okay. I don't understand the New York scene, and
Yes, you do. It is just that tough. Perseverance is, they say, that's like the key thing in a lot of things. And especially since you already have the body of work and you have bodies of work, you've done the hard stuff. You just keep persevering. Sometimes, cracks open up and you're connected. Your goal's got to be, I think, to always meet new people, new curators, new museum people, new artists, new groups, new networks. It's a big goal. You're trying to do it through social media. Yes, I've sold through social media. That's a way to go, but you need to do all of it, and then at the same time produce. But you're a productive artist, and I think there are some artists, that, to be frank, they could knock the work out, and I say that in a good way, and they can make work. So, there are some artists, a painting is 3 months, or 2 months. So that's a different game.
Michael, I can actually bring up your TikTok page.
Okay.
you do TikTok on the computer? I didn't know you could do that.
It's been a while, but I had such a bad drawing. So I need to rip it up.
No.
Good, Barry.
Very rare.
Oh, you shouldn't have done that.
No, I exaggerate so much, but I got one thing wrong. I'm like, there's no fixing that. That's very rare for me.
So Michael, do you want me to go into anything?
Oh, that looks great. And they stay there. Interesting.
Yeah, you see, like the jeans, the pants I thought would be really successful. They got 300.
One of my side projects is
I love
hand-
those.
I do a lot of different pairs. This Saturday, I'll be showing my stuff at the Brooklyn Flea, which is in Dumbo, New York, on Saturday, April 8th. One of my side projects is hand-painted clothes.
You want me to show you anything else?
Oh, you could show the black and white underpainting thing. That one got some.
One?
good
Okay.
So that's it. I mean, that's basically it. I just been doing this on a consistent basis because I think that the consistency is the key. If
Have you sold art this way, Michael? Through
I'm sorry? What's that?
Have you sold art through TikTok?
No,
Okay.
no, it's yeah, my experience with this stuff is people like it. One guy wanted to buy a print and that didn't go anywhere. It's more like, I think of it as a cumulative effect. I'm not so interested in selling work. What I would really like is for like somebody to see it and say, oh, I have a gallery, I'd like to show your stuff. That would be the ultimate goal of it. I've got some walls in how about doing a show?
Do you apply to some of the fairs as a solo artist?
The art fairs?
Yeah, because if you get in as a solo artist, that's where you can meet galleries from all over.
I know
Oh,
I did in 2014 and 2015. I did a number of shows around the country, and as a paid artist, as an individual, or with other artists. And if you guys want to, I can talk about that stuff. But it was a mixed bag. I learned a lot about what not to do and how the industry works.
Okay.
My experience is that, yeah, I did sell a couple of things here and there, which was surprising, but it never really made back what I spent. And it's a big expense. You got to have bucks for that. You know, I was thinking about doing the other art fair, or not the one in Brooklyn, the other art fair.
Oh, there are
Oh,
so
I
many.
like that. I like that one. It's gotten better and better.
Yeah, it's a nice fair. It's just expensive. You know, if even if you, it's expensive.
It's
And there's a big
expensive.
risk, and you're not, you know, and then the price point is a certain price point, and you got to be, you know. So what I learned about the art fairs is the art fairs are there to build your clientele. They're not
Yes.
there to make sales. Sales, if you make sales ultimately over time, but the initial time you do the art fair, or whatever, it might even be the second time, is to establish a relationship with prospective clients. Whether you get their emails or you start communicating them over the course of the year after you meet them, and then they get to know your artists and they form a relationship, then they buy after the first year or second year. If you go to the art fair thinking it cost me $25,000 and I didn't make it back, I'm not doing it again next year, you're missing the point of what the art fairs are about. It's a part of the marketing strategy of a gallery or an individual. And if you do it and you lose money the first year, don't worry, you'll make it the second year, because those people will come back, because over that year you're talking up that artist. No, this is what, you know, you remember, you saw that piece, I know you weren't ready to buy, but this is what she's doing. She just had a show in Russia or something like that, and she's coming back, and I'm gonna have some new pieces. That's when they'll buy. So my mistake was that I went thinking I was gonna do these things, and I was gonna somehow, I don't know what it was gonna do. I didn't have a plan, I didn't have an intention. I thought I would sell work and I'd make back money, and then they'd come back next year. That didn't work. That didn't happen. And I learned a lot about how the way you talk about work. I did this thing called the Select Art Fair, which was on 21st Street. That was the best one I did. And it was, for whatever reason, that used to be at the old Dia Center. And there were 4 artists in the group, three artists that we did. And I had a client that he was really close to buying a painting. And I didn't know how to talk about the work. I didn't know, you know, like, he came back 40 minutes. He kept coming back and forth with his friends. I mean, the work was sold. I just did something wrong. And I still to this day don't know exactly what I did wrong. But it wasn't about the money. It wasn't about me dropping it off and he could look at it for a while. I tried, I'll bring it to your house. I'll leave it there. You can think about it. I tried every angle I could think of, and that was all was wrong.
Sometimes it's just best to be quiet, let the collective view take it in. And, you know, as artists, we want to tell them everything that happened when we made the painting, you know, where we were and, you know, all that. But sometimes, you know, it may be easier. It is a tricky line.
Yeah, no, that's Wendy, my wife. She's hiding right now. I know, I agree. I think that being quiet probably would have been the best. And because like I said, I think it was already sold. I just think I was too aggressive and sounded too amateurish, and that put him off. So I probably would have been best. And then I tried to have somebody else talk about it, and that was a total disaster.
Michael, it's not easy. I do all these art talks. I talk to artists all the time. And then I was in a nice, well-off town in Westchester County. I walked into a gallery there, you know, say hi, drop off my card. And she asked me, you know, tell me about your art. What do you do? And so my elevator speech that I gave her, or what I told her, later I thought, I said, oh, I could have said this, I could have said that. And in the end, guess I gave, would score a 60 or a 70. You want to score 90s. You want to, really get the person interested. Yes, I gave a card. So yes, I thought the images would speak for themselves, but no, the impression you make is very important. It really is. And the work will carry itself, but you got to open the door. You got to open the door.
I did a show. I was just thinking, I did the Toronto Art Fair. So it's another one of the things with the gallery. And one of my pieces, somebody was interested in the work, and he asked the dealer, what does the work mean? Something like this. I'm bridging the story. And the dealer said, when you have this art in your house, it's going to give you energy.
Ah, that's
And that
good.
was it. He didn't try to go into any kind of like narrative, structure to the piece. He just said, no, you're going to go in this thing. It's going to give you energy in the morning. You're going to go out the door. You're going to feel energy, and you're going to go out and have a great day. And that's how he pitched it. And I thought that was kind of an interesting take on, what does it mean? How do I? Because when they ask what it means, I think they're asking, how do I tell my friends when I have it in my house what it means? They want that language so they can explain it to their friends, which I think is interesting.
For a while, I would describe artwork based on energy. I would just really do a one-liner and say, the energy I get, or the amount of energy, or the vibration. I think that's a very valid way. Sometimes you just make it really simple. I saw something on some scientist, maybe it was Einstein or someone who did quantum mechanics, saying you have to be able to explain it like it's to a child. And so it's, sort of red hot obvious what it is. And with art, that's complicated. And so, it's always, there's the artist's vision, and then there's, what it means. And sometimes, the artist is 95%, but that extra 5% is important. And viewers have insight into that.
I'm not a big fan of Jerry Saltz, but I just saw a TikTok today where he said once the artwork is out there, it's not yours anymore. I'm just and when somebody else implies what they see in it, that's fine. If somebody sees a flower and you say, no, it's a racing car, it's a flower. To them, it's a flower. And and they are engaged by it because it's, you as the artist have to kind of let it go once it goes into the public, which I thought was kind of a good thing to say, although I'm not a big fan.
Right. The more sort of multiple reads you can get from a work makes it interesting in a way that it has all those different meanings to different people. And it can, or even just different visualizations. And people do see things very differently.
Yeah, and that's not anything we can control. I mean, you certainly can't control that. So you have to surrender that over to,
You can't control it.
You can't control what other people perceive.
But you can tell them what to think, though. You can use a title, and you can use a description, and you can say, no, you're not understanding this. And then some people will respond to that because they want to be told.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have that because you are the creator, and in a way you can play that card. I prefer letting it go, because I think that's where
I think going to the New York City group crit, because I go to occasionally, and presenting my work really helped me talk about it in a cohesive way that I hadn't really spoken about my work before. So after going a couple times and presenting a couple times, I started to be able to have a dialogue about it, just to myself and to a group. And the more I did it, the more comfortable I felt.
And if you guys want to present, just you can go on the Facebook page and send a proposal. We don't even know, we haven't decided who's going to be April. So if you want, send your stuff in. If you want to do it, it's like a 10-minute presentation.
And it's all in person in Long Island.
No, it's in Queens. It's
In
called the
Queens?
Box Factory Gallery,
Okay,
and it's a nice space. It's a gallery, and it's also an art school. It's got an MFA program there. Nice
Where in
people.
Queens?
I'm sorry.
Where in Queens?
What is it? Is it Riverdale? Jill?
Ridgewood.
Ridgewood. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a cool spot now.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful building and a great space and nice people, and you got a good projector and you could bring originals. And it's open. It's not. They usually do a theme. I'm not doing a theme. I'm just picking. We're just gonna by committee pick a few people and then have them bring in work. It was originally called the Bushwick Crit thing, and a guy, I can't remember his name, but they used to run it on Bushwick, and it was very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Many years. So it's the same kind of idea. Just a place. It's a place to practice your elevator speech. It's and a lot of people don't, honestly, without having that experience of doing it a few times, it's not that easy. Like you said, you think and you're prepared, and then it takes a while to kind of, because you see the feedback when you do it a couple of times. You see how people react, and you can, right, Jill, and if you can tell that it's working or
Yeah,
something's not
totally.
working real fast.
I mean, a lot of the people have gone to art school. I have not gone to art school, so I was a little intimidated at first, but Izzy is so welcoming, and you as well. So you find, it's huge space, huge art space. But the more you present, I think the easier it gets. And people ask you questions, and you get into the process of it.
Anyway, all right. So I'm talking too much. Sorry, guys.
would anybody else like to share anything?
I would,
Comments?
Barry. Yeah.
Very nice.
Let me call up some work. I take pictures. When people ask me when I'm in the field, they ask me, what are you photographing? They think it's an animal or whatever. And I have to share screen. Give me a minute.
Okay.
I see a strange thing, but let me know what you see.
Nothing just yet. I'll let you know when it comes up.
You got it yet?
Not yet. Sometimes there's a little delay. No, do you have any prompts on your computer?
See something odd. Desktop one, whiteboard,
Yeah,
iPhone.
hit desktop one.
It's highlighted.
Okay, so just click it.
Yeah, I have. Share. I see a word that says share. That might be
Okay, try that.
open system preferences.
Oh, yeah, that's a tricky one.
Yeah, and this is a fairly new computer. Oh, wait a minute. I got it. Sorry for the delay.
No, don't be silly.
Thought this would be so easy.
So, Michael, I was listening the whole time. I wasn't on camera, Mike. I was Googling you and looking at your work online. It's terrific stuff. But I was listening the whole time.
I thought you were blowing me off, David. I saw there was no pictures. And I
No,
was making a
no,
sandwich.
no. Yeah, making a sandwich.
All right, so I give up.
Give up.
Oh, what you do is you share a screen, and then it takes you to a couple different images. And I don't know if you're on your Instagram or portfolio, but you have to
Yeah.
click on the screen and then hit share.
He's
Yeah, I hit
getting-
share. I have open system and it's getting late, and I have Zoom.
He's
I'm
got
allowing
open-
Zoom to do it, and under privacy and security, it should be on, but it's not. So another time.
All right, we'll do it another time then. Thanks for trying.
All right.
Pull up some of that porn. Pull up some porn.
All right, this is my last point. So wait,
Oh, that's great.
looks like just did.
Nice.
And
Show Mo.
Thomas, do you have an Instagram? I can bring that up and share it from here.
It's not what I really wanted to show, but I do have an Instagram. But it's not really what I wanted to talk about.
All right, so you want to wait till next time?
I'll wait till another time. But thank you.
Looks good, Barry. I like how you fill the whole page.
So cool.
so I was much looser tonight early. And so when I see a form, comes in, I didn't mind extending. And then as long as I got the movements and then I get natural sort of exaggerations. And then when I layered or went back, I didn't care if it was in the right spot. When I came back with something else, I just relaxed and started mark making and started another, let's say, micro theme or theme. And then always the overlays you get between what you did and what you're doing now, they're like, that's like the dynamic part. Because if I try to like plan that, I just wouldn't. But you get all this sort of free, and that's exciting form because often there the space jumps back or forward. And also you just get these balances. It's fun to draw. I'll do a quick screen share and I'll show what I've been working on. Let's see, share screen. So let's see. This is a recent painting. And I sort of captured it in stages. That's the original. That's something from, say, 10 years ago.
Wow, that's amazing.
And I had a lot of marks in here that I like. I like going back into paintings with these marks. So then I like color in the marks. And often, like, this is a linear play, but often the marks are curves and very organic, because I'm just whipping around the back of my brush, sort of incising lines. And then I got this. You can see I sort of destroy the original piece, but it sets up the competition. This is at a stage before I clutter it. I found in some works, I was putting in so many small marks that I was flattening the space as opposed to getting great depth. The color's getting me depth, but I need more negative play. This may be an example where maybe I should have stopped here. It's a little more lighter. And there, of course, at one point, I went pink and purpley. And so in the old days, I wouldn't change colors, but I do find myself. And here I had the red sitting up. And then, I don't know, I sort of like them all in their own way. It's hard to say maybe this loses a lot, but it gains some. I did something odd, did my dog. I never do this kind of stuff.
Amazing.
But it was a trick. It was an example of me using something that had a printed photo underneath. So I had a black and white breakup in sort of curved patterns. But then I still got in there and I did my curves and my brush stroke, and I played around. So this is an odd way to jump into portraiture painting and getting all the proportions there.
Pretty good model.
Pretty good model, yeah. Remember.
I like the crossed paws look.
Yeah, that captures, Kathy and I obviously know Daisy. That captures some of her in the position. When you get a certain position, depending on the dog or the person, you say, oh yeah, that's that person. That's something Daisy does a lot. This is something she spoke last time, Yonkers Arts, something I might be doing more with by the end of the year. I'm gonna start.
She was great.
She was good. So this is an example where it's another old painting, and see the lines I get are more curved and angular, or more curved. There's rectangles, but there are curves. So here I color them in. I get like a Paul Klee effect, I feel, but it's much denser. I consider this sort of like an odd mix of post-impressionism. That's where I feel like I am. But in a simple way, it's a contrast of some expressive brushwork and then some analytic strokes. And then, I think you could say a lot of painting is about trying to break the picture plane. And this does an odd synthetic cubist breakup and flattening of the picture plane at the same time. I like it. I left enough negative space. I like the movement. I even tried black at the bottom and inside. That's me really trying there. It's gonna be where. And there's where I flattened out a little too much, but I sort of like it because it has that Aboriginal feel, and it has movement and different densities too. This is an earlier painting where more of the landscape comes through, but it's starting to flatten out, and you get a lot of these ridges from previous brushwork, which is very valuable.
Yeah.
It's actually sold while it was wet.
Sounds like sex.
And there's a work I left so much out, and there's an advantage there. It's like what we were talking about before. The viewer sees. There's more for them to see and read in this when I leave a lot open, whereas the other ones that go a little dense.
I
Yeah.
like this one.
Yeah, there's something about this, and it's less. It's less. I didn't continue. I went a little hold on.
Well, I'm glad you stopped on this. I mean, I like the other ones, but I like this one a lot.
I agree. It's a forest to me. I photograph forest.
Yeah, it's mysterious. Yeah, it's a forest. I feel that.
I like the space in it. Like there's detail
Mhm,
in a cohesive way, but I like the space as well.
mhm.
But yeah, it was a forest. I probably have, flat play. Thomas, I do want to show my Polaroid. Show you my, let's see, in Facebook. I put it in a comment. Let's see.
Oh, wow.
So I did blow ups of Polaroids. They're what, 2¼ by 2¼ I just screwed them up to 24 by 24. They were
Cool.
scanned, so they had a lot of information, so it worked. And I'm pretty sure this Polaroid was done driving in a car at 50+ miles per hour, rolling down the window and pressing.
That's great.
And I did that one. And then this is the same thing. And I think this is the city in the backdrop. But you see what goes on here. When I showed it to the printer, he thought it was pastels. It's a Polaroid.
How long ago did you take it?
I want to say 2000, 2005. I'm guessing almost 20 years ago.
So was it Polaroid or is it the new
No, it's a
version
Polaroid.
of Polaroid?
No, this is the original. I shot the
Oh, yeah.
600. I shot a few models, but the 600 was an easy go-to. I like the FX70. That was my favorite because
Yeah.
hold the shutter. You could do certain tricks with that. Besides being a beautiful work of art, it was a great tool. And yet this camera was fun too because I would press the button and move a lot, and I could get certain effects. Just want to think, yeah.
Have you tried the newer ones yet?
I have not. Let's see.
Yeah, they're okay. I've tried in the black. You can use black and white, and there's panoramic, and then the mini ones.
Again, a landscape, that red to sort of, sometimes you got to go strong. You go too strong, and this red is sort of pushing that edge. But I threw enough of it in around. I tend to take a color on my brush and I'll dance the color throughout the canvas or half the canvas or 3/4 of the canvas. I'll go color at a time as opposed to area at a time. And it is tricky. And I tend to work localized forms. So if I get the form in, then I can micro focus. And as long as on a local level, I feel there's balance and beauty and harmony and everything I want, I actually don't see the whole picture. I sort of peripherally see the whole painting. And then that's how I know to move left, move right, and I sort of weave. So if you sort of weave a color in and dance down and space it, you'll get the movement that the color, because the color is like dropping or growing or moving. And so it's I find it's a way to paint that aids. And again, this was reworked. And so I had a composition. One of the hardest things is going up against a white canvas. There's no question about it. Or a black canvas, which I almost prefer, but still do a lot of white canvas work. That's some older work where it was all about the brush, and you sort of zen get into it, and you almost burnish it in the way you would burnish, say, a raku firing piece, and you're loving it, and at some point that it is getting that energy that Michael spoke about, and that energy will be received, and the color goes this lightish from all the brushwork getting beaten up, and but it has to fit interesting form. I'll tend to be brush with. I do my best where I have gaps and larger spaces, and pull out an ovid form. But very simple forms lead to landscape and trees and outdoors. Doesn't take a lot.
Looks futuristic to me.
Yeah, I see that. I see that now. It's funny. I think a good work, you almost always see it different ways. I think there are great works that you get in 1 second, but sometimes, you want to be able to see different things or different colors.
Now I see an amusement park.
And there's some things. I'll stop sharing.
That last one, that was really nice. That last one.
I think that was figures that I did grouped up, like when I do the group drawings. Sometimes I do drawings on canvas of short sketches of people, 20, 30 sort of laced in, and then I could bring it in the studio. And I put a few lines, in, and something happens. It's like this weird mix. I lose a lot of the drawing, but the line reflects the form, the color. It's an odd, interesting play. I enjoy it. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thanks to those who shared, and of course, everybody. I keep an eye on the website. I have been reaching out, but I don't have anybody lined up. And I'm thinking maybe I don't know if I take a break. I think we may have good news coming. Wendy and I have both sort of applied to this show, and the goal is we both get in. That would be good. I think that's a great example of, you said a lot of things here. You did that, you heard this, you saw this, and then you made it work, and then it was sold. And Michael, is certainly here, you've done it, and you've seen the cost. There's no question about it. Big money to promote yourself, big money to play in this big money game. And perseverance is probably the biggest thing, but you got to be directed right. There's no question about it. You can't be throwing away $5,000, $10,000 or 3 hours a day, 2 hours a day, 1 hour a day. You've got to, So thank you. This is recorded. I'll stop the recording, and just keep an eye on the website, and I'll reach out through a post. Let's stop.